My uncle told everyone I was rolling in money after I got a promotion. Suddenly, every relative I hadn't spoken to in years started asking for small loans. I said no. Then I found out my uncle forged emails making it seem like I offered to fund my cousin's wedding. When I refused to pay, she posted on Facebook, "He made a promise. He's a coward and a cheat." Hundreds of people saw it. I nearly lost my job over the rumors. So I posted the real story with screenshots. The comments section exploded. "Hey Reddit, throwaway account because my real one is tied to my work friends. This is going to be long, but I need to get it off my chest. I'm 34 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I work as an operations manager for a manufacturing company. It's not some giant Fortune 500 company or anything. It's a mid-sized place. Honest work. I've been there for about 8 years. Before the promotion, I was making $56,000. I was living carefully, paying bills on time, saving maybe a few $100 a month if I was lucky. I wasn't poor, but I wasn't rolling in extra money either. Then last December, after years of picking up extra shifts, traveling last minute to fix warehouse issues, and doing a lot of the dirty work no one else wanted, they bumped me up. My salary moved to $89,000. I was proud. My parents were proud. I thought that was it, a good thing, a quiet, personal win. I was wrong, so wrong. My mom, who was just happy for me, told her brother. My Uncle Pete. She thought she was just sharing good news. That's when all hell broke loose. Pete, where do I even start with Pete? If there's a family leech, it's him. Always broke. Always chasing some business opportunity. Always asking to borrow $50 or $100 and somehow never paying it back. We all knew what he was, but we put up with him because, well, family. Within a week of my promotion news leaking, my phone started lighting up. Cousins. Second cousins. Even an aunt I hadn't spoken to in almost 15 years. Suddenly everyone remembered they were related to me. At first, it was little things. "Hey man, congrats. Also, could you spot me $300 till next month? OMG, so happy for you. Hey, can I borrow $800 to fix my car?" I said no to all of them. Nicely at first. I explained that while my salary was better, I had my own responsibilities. My student loans weren't going to pay themselves. I wasn't sitting on a pile of cash. I wasn't Scrooge McDuck. Some people were cool about it. Others? Not so much. I got guilt trips, angry texts, even a few veiled threats like, "Don't forget who was there for you when you were nothing." Which, by the way, none of them were. After about 3 weeks, the messages stopped. I figured it had blown over. I figured wrong. Amanda, my cousin, Pete's daughter, called me up one night. She didn't even ask how I was. She launched right into it. "So, I'm sending you the wedding planner's info. We just need you to cover your part by next Friday, okay? Super excited. Love you." I asked her what she was talking about. Amanda got real quiet for a second like she couldn't believe I didn't know. Then she said, "Dad told me you offered to cover half the wedding costs as a gift. You're making bank now and you wanted to help us start our marriage off right." I swear, I thought I was being punked. I told her flat out. "No, I never said anything like that." Amanda got nasty real fast. She said, "We saw the emails. Dad showed us." "Emails?" I told her to forward them to me. 2 minutes later, I got the thread. The emails were from me to Pete. In them, I talked about how family was everything, and how I wanted Amanda to have her dream day no matter what it cost. The email looked legit at first glance. Same signature as mine. Same writing style. Except there was one problem. The sender address was wrong. It was close. Real close. But it had an extra number in it. It wasn't me. I called Amanda back. Told her point blank, "That email's fake. I never wrote that. Someone made it up." She didn't want to hear it. She said I was trying to back out of a promise and that word would get around about what kind of man I was. I stayed calm. I told her again, no money was coming. End of discussion. 2 days later, she posted a status on Facebook. I wish I had saved a copy, but it was something like, "When someone promises to be there for you and then abandons you, you learn real fast who family is. Money changes people. Some cousin in Columbus needs to remember where he came from." No names, but enough detail that half the family knew exactly who she meant. The post exploded. Dozens of comments. People calling me a snake. People saying it's always the ones who make it that turn their back. It didn't stop there. Somehow, the drama leaked to my work. A girl Amanda knew worked part-time with a vendor my company used. She told someone in passing that our operations manager had some legal trouble coming from a family fraud situation. That rumor reached my boss. I got called into HR. I had to sit there, sick to my stomach, explaining that none of it was true. Thank God I had saved the fake email Amanda sent me. I showed them everything. My boss was cool about it. HR told me not to worry. But still, just the idea that my family almost cost me my job made my blood boil. So, I decided if they wanted drama, I'd give them truth. I made a long Facebook post. No names, just facts. I ended the post with, I work hard for what I have. I don't owe anyone a dime. Some people will lie, cheat, and even forge documents to get a handout. Know the truth before you believe gossip. That post blew up even bigger than Amanda's. People commented things like, wow, disgusting what people will do for money. You don't owe anyone anything, man. Glad you stood up for yourself. Amanda deleted her Facebook 3 days later. Pete tried calling me, I didn't answer. I didn't even text him back. I blocked him. Then more stories started trickling in. Turns out Pete had pulled stuff like this before. Years ago, he talked another cousin into giving him $2,500 for a restaurant investment that never existed. Another aunt said he promised to cover part of her medical bills, then ghosted. By the time summer rolled around, Pete and his family were basically exiled. No invites to BBQs. No birthdays. Nothing. Amanda's wedding? Canceled. Trevor dumped her. Apparently, once he found out the truth, he realized he didn't want to marry into the drama after all. At Thanksgiving, I noticed something. The house was quieter. Less people. Less noise. But the people there? They were real. They cared. Funny how fast a family can shrink when the free money dries up. I thought the story was over. I was wrong again. So after the wedding mess, I thought maybe Pete and Amanda would just fade away. Like a bad dream. But you know how some people just don't know when to quit? It started again about 2 months later. One Saturday morning, I'm at home fixing my kitchen faucet. The stupid thing had been leaking for weeks. When my phone buzzes, it's a message from an unknown number. We need to talk. You're ruining lives. No name. No context. Just that. I ignored it. Figured it was Pete or Amanda trying to pull more guilt trips. 10 minutes later, another message came in, this time from my aunt Pete's sister, Carla. I hadn't heard from Carla in years. Last I checked, she lived down in Dayton and didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. She sent me this long, angry text about how family helps family and how everyone is struggling because of my selfishness. She accused me of turning the whole family against good people who made mistakes. I didn't even respond. Then, out of nowhere, Carla's daughter, my other cousin, Sarah, started posting TikToks. I don't even use TikTok, but my little sister does. She sent me the videos, freaking out. There were about 5 of them. In each video, Sarah acted out fake skits where a rich cousin promises to pay for a wedding, bails, and ruins a young bride's life. She didn't say my name, but she did use my real job title. She made fun of me by name-dropping an operations manager from Columbus and said stuff like, money can't buy class. The videos got thousands of views. People in the comments dragged me, called me a snake, a scammer, a liar. It got worse. Somehow people found my LinkedIn, started leaving nasty comments under my professional posts, accusing me of fraud and betraying family for money. I started getting worried about my job again. I called a lawyer. A real no BS guy that one of my friends recommended. I sent him everything, the texts, the fake emails, the TikToks. His advice? You need to shut this down. Now. Before it costs you more than a job. So I did. My lawyer sent out cease and desist letters to Pete, Amanda, Carla, and Sarah. Official language. Real threats, lawsuits, damages, everything. The TikToks came down the next day. Sarah posted some half-assed apology video about how she was misled and overreacted. But it was too late. The damage was done. The story had spread so far that even some people from my high school messaged me asking if the rumors were true. I was furious. Not just because of the lies, but because these people, my own blood, cared more about squeezing money out of me than about destroying my life. At that point, I decided it wasn't enough to just block them and move on. I wanted everyone to know exactly who Pete, Amanda, and the rest of them were. So I dug in. I started gathering everything, every shady thing Pete ever did to people in the family. The fake business deals. The unpaid loans. The times he promised to invest in someone's project and disappeared with the money. The time he borrowed my cousin Danny's truck and wrecked it, then refused to pay for repairs. I built a file. Screenshots. Texts. Old Facebook posts. DMs. Everything. Then I made a public post on Facebook. Full timeline. Full receipts. Full exposure. It wasn't a rant. It was a careful, detailed report like I was a journalist breaking a story. It ended with, Pete and Amanda didn't just lie about me. They lied to a lot of you too. If you gave them money, gifts, time, anything, and you were betrayed, know this, you weren't alone. And it's not your fault. It's who they are. I hit post. Then I sat back and waited. Within 24 hours, it had 400 plus comments. People were furious. Stories flooded the comments, people telling their own experiences. Cousins I hadn't seen since I was 12 came forward. Even people outside the family, old friends, neighbors, ex-girlfriends of Pete's, jumped in. Every dirty little secret Pete thought he buried got dug up and dragged into the daylight. Amanda tried to defend herself in a comment once. Said, "This is all lies, he's bitter and jealous." Someone replied with screenshots proving she'd been part of the scam. She deleted her comment, then deleted her entire account. About 2 weeks later, word got back to me that Pete's business, a crappy little used car lot he ran with a buddy, had dried up. No customers, no partners, no credit. Amanda, she moved out of Ohio. Some said she was living with a friend in Florida, working at a nail salon. Carla and Sarah, still in Dayton, still broke, still posting sad little passive-aggressive memes about betrayal. Me, still at my job, still not rich, still working my ass off. But now, no one dares come near me asking for a handout. They know better. And just when I thought it was finally over, I found out one more thing about Pete. Something way worse than fake emails. About a month after I dropped the hammer on Facebook, I finally started to breathe again. The messages stopped. The phone calls stopped. Even the weird stares at work stopped. I thought it was finally done. Then one evening, my dad called. Now, you have to understand, my dad is the old school type. Vietnam vet. Believes in hard work, loyalty, and handling your own business without making a scene. He rarely calls unless something's wrong. I picked up, and he sounded tight, like he was grinding his teeth. He said, "Son, you need to come by the house. Now, it's about Pete." I dropped what I was doing and drove over. When I got there, my dad was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed. He didn't say anything at first, just slid a folder across the table. Inside were a bunch of documents. Some were old bank statements. Some were weird contracts. But one thing stood out. A fake power of attorney document with my name on it. Forged. Dated 6 months ago. Apparently, Pete had been trying to claim he had financial authority over me. Couldn't believe it. It made no sense. I'm a grown-ass man. Why would anyone believe he had any control over my finances? Turns out, he used it to try to open a line of credit under my name at a small local bank. One where an old friend of his worked. The idea, from what we pieced together, was to take out a massive loan and disappear with the cash. The only reason it didn't work? The bank employee, a guy named Mitch, got cold feet at the last second. He realized the document looked off and decided to call my parents, just to double-check. That's how my dad found out. That's why I was sitting at the table, heart pounding, staring at paperwork that could have ruined me. If that loan had gone through, I would have been on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars. Debt I never asked for. Debt that could have buried me. I was furious. I felt sick. This wasn't just a petty family drama anymore. This was real. This was criminal. I called my lawyer immediately. He was calm but serious. He said, "We're past warnings now. It's time to involve the police." And that's exactly what we did. I filed an official police report, provided copies of everything. The fake power of attorney, the emails, the texts, the TikToks, all of it. The police took it seriously. They started an investigation into Pete for fraud, identity theft, and attempted financial crimes. About a week later, word spread like wildfire through the family. Pete was being investigated. It wasn't just family gossip this time. It was real. It was official. Some people tried to defend him at first, said it was a misunderstanding or a mistake. But when the police showed up at his house with a search warrant, when they confiscated his laptop and a bunch of fake documents, yeah, that shut a lot of people up real fast. Amanda, she went radio silent. Carla and Sarah suddenly wanted to make amends. Sent me these pathetic messages like, "We were misled. We didn't know the full story. Please don't lump us in with Pete." I ignored them. They had their chance to pick the right side when all of this started. Now here's where things got even crazier. While digging through Pete's seized files, the cops found other fake documents too. Not just under my name. He had tried to set up accounts under other relatives' names as well. Old cousins, even one of my aunts who had been dead for 5 years. The man was a serial scammer. He didn't care who he hurt as long as he got what he wanted. At this point, Pete's world started falling apart fast. His car lot closed down for good. His old business partners cut ties immediately. Amanda lost a bunch of brand deals she had lined up for her influencer stuff. Apparently, nobody wanted to work with the daughter of a guy under criminal investigation. Even people outside the family started distancing themselves. Pete tried to reach out once more through a handwritten letter he had one of his buddies drop off at my door. In it, he played the victim. He said he was desperate, that he only did it to help his family, that he'd never meant for it to go this far. I didn't even bother replying. I just handed the letter over to my lawyer to add to the evidence pile. And now here we are. The investigation is wrapping up. The DA is deciding what charges to press. There's talk of multiple felony counts. If Pete gets charged, he could be looking at real prison time. Maybe a few years. Maybe more. Amanda's social media is gone. Carla and Sarah are basically in hiding. The family? Divided forever. And me? I'm sitting here, still working my regular job, still paying my own damn bills, still not a millionaire, but finally getting some peace. At least for now. Because something tells me Pete's mess isn't quite finished yet. About 3 weeks after Pete's letter, I got a call from the detective working my case. He said the DA had decided to press full charges. Forgery, identity theft, attempted bank fraud, wire fraud, for felonies. Pete wasn't just looking at a slap on the wrist. He was looking at real-time years. The detective said they were going to arrest him within the week. Said he was giving me a heads up in case Pete tried something desperate. Sure enough, 2 days later, Pete showed up at my parents' house. Middle of the night. Banging on the front door like a maniac. Screaming, "Let me in. Let me in. I just want to talk to him." I wasn't there. I had already moved to a new place across town after the harassment started. But my parents were terrified. They called the cops immediately. When the cops showed up, Pete tried to run. Didn't get far. They tackled him right there on the front lawn, in front of the whole damn neighborhood. Handcuffed, stuffed in the back of a cruiser, all while shouting about how he was set up and how family should be loyal. The news traveled fast. The next morning, his mugshot was all over the local news sites. Big headline: local man charged with forgery, identity theft, and fraud against family member. There was no hiding it anymore. Everyone saw what he really was. Even the family members who had doubted me at first were sending texts saying things like, "I'm so sorry. We should have believed you from the start." It didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. A few months later, we went to court. I sat there in the courtroom staring at the back of Pete's head while the DA laid it all out. The fake emails, the forged documents, the bank scams, the social media attacks. It was brutal. And it was satisfying. Pete's lawyer tried to argue that he wasn't in his right mind, blamed it on stress, money problems, anything he could. But the jury didn't buy it. They convicted him on all counts. The judge didn't go easy on him either. Pete got 8 years in prison. No chance of parole for at least 6. Amanda? She didn't even show up at the trial. Word is she's working some minimum wage job in Florida, still blaming everyone but herself. Carla and Sarah? Nobody cares about them anymore. They're just bitter shadows posting memes about fake family on private Facebook groups. As for me, after the trial, the judge granted me restitution. That meant Pete owed me for all the legal fees, lost work time, and emotional damages. Total? Almost $58,000. Of course, I'll probably never see a dime of it. Pete doesn't have money. Never did. But it wasn't about the cash. It was about the principle. He tried to destroy my life. He tried to steal my future. Instead, he lost everything. His freedom, his family, his reputation. All because he thought he was entitled to something I worked for. And me? I kept my job. Got promoted again, actually. Moved into a nicer apartment. Started dating someone real. Someone who didn't care about my paycheck. Life isn't perfect, but it's real. And it's mine. No more bloodsuckers. No more leeches. Just me. Living honestly while Pete rots behind bars, thinking about everything he lost. All because he couldn't keep his hands out of other people's pockets. Good riddance.